Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Happy Sunday. It is the last day of March. It is a phenomenal day here in Northern California. The weather is pitch perfect. We took the dogs to the park today, spent a lot of time outside, had brunch on a patio. It was amazing. I am pretending that spring is starting because rain is on the way tomorrow. And I'm going to ignore that fact. I'm going to pretend that this is what the weather's going to be like. I am ready for it. I am ready for the rain to go away. I know that parts of the US at least are still very, very cold, but I am not built for it, guys. I'm not. Today's video is read and reviewed number 10. So as you guys can imagine, I review 3 books per video. So I have officially read at least 30 books. I'm actually a little further ahead than that, which is actually a good clip for the end of March. That's 10 books a month, which I cannot complain about, considering March was a slower month for me. Actually, work got in the way a little bit of my reading, but I have read some great stuff this year, and it was really hard when I was looking at all of the books that I read so far this year to think, gosh, what is going to be on my year-end best of list? So that's far away. I don't have to worry about it yet. I just have to tell you about 3 books. These are 3, I think, excellent books, thought-provoking books in many ways. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, get out whatever you take down your TBR, because I want these books to wind up on that list. So I'm going to get a little drink real quick, and I'm going to get started. The first book on the list is probably going to be the book that has the most discussion amongst people who have read it, and the most discussion in regards to the Women's Prize long list, I feel. And that is The Pisces by Melissa Broder. I'm going to hold that up there for you guys. The Pisces by Melissa Broder is the story of Lucy. Lucy is in her, I want to say she's late 20s, early 30s. She has been writing her PhD dissertation on Sappho for 9 years, and it is not going anywhere. She has also been in a relationship that's been rather stagnant, and whether that's by choice or by design, or whether or not that's just the way it wound up, that's something for you guys to discover. But what happens is her and her boyfriend decide to take a break from each other, and it turns out that Lucy has quite the sort of sense of codependency and doesn't really know what to do with her life without this man in it. What happens is her sister winds up inviting her to California to watch her dog, and watch her dog while her sister is gone in Europe, and really take the time to work on her dissertation and work on herself. Due to an incident between her and the boyfriend, she has to do therapy for anger management, which I will leave that scene up to you because I loved it. But we learn a couple things about Lucy fairly early in this book. One, she is neurotic. She's got a lot of issues in her head, and we are in her head, so we definitely get to see all angles of who she is as a person. She is also not always likable. Sometimes she is downright dislikable. Trigger warning if you have any issues with sad things happening to animals. Some sad things do happen in this book to an animal, and I'm just giving it out there. Nothing like violent, but just something sad. So I want to put that out there. I know that is a lot of people's triggers. But what Lucy does is she joins a group where she meets a bunch of women that have the same sort of codependency issues, that ability to be their own person without a relationship. And she also then, while she's there one night at a beach, meets a man who she sort of pins her sense of happiness on, and makes decisions in regards to her life and what she's going to do. Now, I don't want to give too much away because this book has a very straightforward plot. It has a little bit of a fable-esque quality to it, but it's definitely interesting when the turns happen. I think it's worth being surprised by. Here's the reason that I think this book is controversial. Because 1, Lucy is pretty unlikable at times. And people can say that they like an unlikable person as a narrator. I would say in general, though, an unlikable woman, some people are harder to allow that. I personally really connected with Lucy and her neuroses. There were many moments in this book that I could see myself. And also I could see other people that I knew. I see her all the time in real life. So she's very, very real to me. The other issue I think that some people may have with Lucy is she's very sexually aware. There is a lot of graphic discussion regarding her own sexuality, her own body parts, her own sense of climax, sex, her period, all of that. And if you are not the kind of person that can handle that sort of discussion, this book may not be for you. I, on the other hand, it's not that I can handle it like I want it in every book, but it added a sense of realness to Lucy to me. She is a fully formed person. She is not a person that I want to hang out with at all. However, I know her, I see myself in her, and a lot of the decisions she made, I could step back and kind of go, I wonder what I would do in this situation if I were in her position. And some of the times I didn't agree, and then sometimes I could really understand why she did what she did. The book really is about her coming to a sense of self-discovery on what she wants to do with her life, and if she definitely needs a man in order to make those decisions. Spoiler alert, people don't need other people to be who they are. But it's often a conversation that a lot of people have is they don't feel whole without a relationship. And this book really tackles that sort of social dynamic. Some people are very comfortable being solo, single, and alone. Some people are not. Lucy is one of those people that is going to challenge you in sort of your views of what the decisions people make on how they're going to run their life and who they're going to be. I also think that this has a very straightforward, stark, fantastic writing style that fits very well with how Lucy talks and acts as a character. It is very modern in a sense. Like, this book is very time and place. I could see her walking down the street right now, and I think that that adds to me a sense of purpose. So I am about, I don't know, 12, 13 books into the women's long list, and I have to say, if I had to call it right now, I think this book deserves to be on the short list because it challenges readers to think differently about women and their places and the decisions they make in the world that exists. I thought it was brilliant. It will not be for everyone. I'm just telling you right now. If you start this book and Lucy annoys you so much in the first 20 pages, don't go on. Don't go on. She is not going to get any deeper or different for you. But if you really want to challenge yourself to really analyze how the world looks through the eyes of this young lady, I would take it. I would take that challenge because I really think this book is brilliant. So this is The Pisces by Melissa Broder, and I absolutely loved it. The next book on the list was a buddy read I did with Jacqueline over at 6 Minutes to Me, and that is the amazing Australian novel No More Boats by Felicity. Okay, so I said this in another video. She helped me on Twitter. Her last name is like lasagna, so Castagna. There you go. I have to do that every time I say it because I want to hit the G in it. I don't know why. I don't know why. This takes place in Australia. Our main character is Antonio. He is an older man with a family, a wife, and 2 children who is involved in a construction accident very, very soon at the start of the book that kills his best friend and also leaves him in such a state that he must retire. This book is about his family. He has a daughter who graduated college, went to become a teacher, and is no longer a teacher but hasn't told her family, and a son who has followed in his footsteps in the construction industry but is kind of lost. What is he going to do and who is he going to be? The backdrop for this is an event in Australian history called the Tampa Affair. Yes, Tampa Affair, when a boat wound up off of the shore of Australia full of refugees wanting to land and come into Australia, and the government's decision not to allow them to come to shore. I learned a ton about, it turns out I know nothing about Australian history. Let's put that out. The book starts with the mention of a man, a prime minister, Harold Holt. He's in the first sentence. I didn't know who he is, so I had to Google him immediately. And he was a prime minister that went out swimming in the ocean and disappeared and was pronounced dead. But he was really instrumental in changing the laws that were going on in Australia regarding immigration and refugee status. Australia had for a really long time sort of a a statute that only white Europeans were allowed into the country, and he really was sort of one of the impetus people that started this. The book goes on to deal with the racism in Australia in many different ways, and it introduced me to a bunch of players and characters in Australian politics and history that I had to Google, which I totally appreciated. And luckily for me, Jacqueline is Australian, so she could totally put me on board when I needed a little bit of direction. And if you ever get a chance to read anything with Jacqueline over at 6 Minutes to Me, highly recommend it. And yeah, I really like this book. If you like books that are told almost in a journalistic tone, I find this book has sort of that sort of direction. The characters are a little bit flat in that they have a means. They are there to show you something specific. So they don't totally round out. However, I don't think they need to for what the power of the story is. And really this comes down to then the family. Antonio does something, and I'm not going to give it away, that is very polarizing in regards to the Tampa affair. And I want you guys to get that yourself, because I think that you have to go into it sort of blind in order to really appreciate the powerful statement that Felicity is making as her characters make their choices. I think that this book is one that everyone should read. It really is educational if you are outside Australia. And I think that it's probably very eye-opening and sort of gives a moment for people of Australia to recognize some of the stuff that's gone on in their own country. I learned a lot. I really did. I think it's great. And I want to thank Europa Editions for sending me this copy. Thank you so much. You guys know how much I love them. And that is No More Boats by Felicity Castagna. Thank you, Felicity, for helping me with your name. Last but not least is an absolutely charmer of a novel, and that is Little Faith by Nickolas Butler. Now, I gotta thank Echo Books for sending me a copy for this. This came out in this month of March. You can get your copy. Little Faith is the story of Lyle. Lyle is a grandfather and a father. He is in a tiny town in Wisconsin. His daughter has moved home with his grandson and is living with them. You find out very soon in the beginning that Lyle and his wife lost their son when he was 9 months old. He was born and he passed away at 9 months old. That changed Lyle as a person. Losing his son was a big instrumental factor in who he wound up being, and it really challenged his sense of faith. Now, he is from a small Midwest town, so there's a lot of ingrained church going, and he goes every Sunday. That's what you do in this small town. But he really is very upfront as the narrator of this book about what happened when his son died and how that challenged his faith. His daughter, you learn very soon, was adopted. They adopted their daughter, and she is returned after being away with their grandson. This book is one of the most perfect ever examples of the love of a grandfather for a grandson I have ever read in my entire life. There are sweet instances between the two of them where I was literally verklempt. I absolutely loved it. Now, Lyle and his wife Pam, and Peg, sorry. Lyle and Peg have a strained relationship with their daughter. Their daughter is a member of a religious group that meets in a town over, who is run by a man that she becomes involved with, and it is some sort of offset of Christianity, but believes in a bunch of things that Lyle is challenged with. And one of them is, we learn that his grandson, do I know his grandson's name? Isaac. Isaac gets very ill, and it turns out that the religion that his daughter has joined believes in praying away the illness versus taking the son to the hospital. This becomes a real challenge for Lyle and for his wife, because they really love their family, they love their grandson, and they want him to be healthy. This book then continues. There's so many amazing characters in this book. Lyle's best friend is a man named Hoot. He is an older man, always drinking that, cheap beer, smoker for life. He gets diagnosed with cancer very early in the beginning of the book. And this book is about losing your best friend. This book is about trying to keep your family together, and also the challenges of faith, because the daughter, to really keep Isaac in his life, says that he must attend church with them. And it talks a lot about faith, and he's very interesting. This is a quiet novel in that it takes place in this small town, and it's really about this one family and this friend group in this church, and really about a grandson and his grandfather. I flew through this book. I think the writing is absolutely gorgeous. I think the relationship between the grandfather and the grandson is pitch perfect. I think the picture of marriage between Lyle and his wife Peg may be some of the most real depictions of marriage that I have ever read in my entire life. They have arguments and things happen and they love each other. That is never in doubt, but they definitely go through struggles even after years and years and years of marriage, which is so real. We normally get new love, we normally get love breaking up, or we get sort of the complacent love of elderly love. And this is not that. This is just two people who have been together forever and clearly love each other very, very much. I will remember Lyle. I will remember Isaac because they are so well drawn out and their relationship is so amazing. Nickolas Butler really hit this one out of the park, and I don't think that I've seen a lot of people talking about Little Faith, so I am stressing to you to go out and get this book and support Nickolas Butler, because this book is worth every page that is written. So that is Little Faith by Nickolas Butler, and thank you again to Echo for sending me a copy of this. I really, really appreciate it. I absolutely adored it. And that is 3 books, guys. One really controversial title, and one book that really taught me a lot, and one that just really made me feel all sorts of feels. And I hope that this book, all 3 of these books, wind up on your TBR so that you can have conversations and share them with other people. As always, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much. I hope you stick around. If you're a return subscriber, I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so very, very much. As always, until next time, I wish you happy reading, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!